Mark, how you doing today?
Hey, doing alright?
I'm looking a little tired.
Yeah. I didn't sleep very well last night. I got like 3 hours.
Are you up with the baby?
Yeah. He's crying all night. He has colic, so like...
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, Marcus is a trooper. I think he'll be alright. How are you guys handling that with the colic? Has it been going on a while? I know I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks.
A couple of months, I guess. But it just got really bad in like the last couple of weeks, and he's just been up all night for like the past 2 weeks. It's been rough. But
yeah, I can imagine it's not easy, and especially when a baby has colic. I can't imagine how difficult that is for you. So how's Janessa handling it? Is she
would much rather get high and just not, like, I'm the one who's up all night, like, dealing with the kids while she's out, just from...
That's the gist I've gotten, you know, from the couple of meetings we've had. It takes a lot to step up and be a parent, you know. It's a really difficult thing to do, especially when you're not having a lot of support from your partner. So you said she's been pretty absent lately?
Yeah,
tell me a little more about that.
She just, like, I don't know, she's like never home, like during the day. I don't know where she goes. You know, she says she's going to the clinic.
And by clinic you mean
the methadone clinic, yeah. She says she's been going, but I don't think she's been spending a lot of time like with her brother lately, who has the same problems as we do, and it's just not.
And you doubt that she's been going to the clinic?
Yeah, I don't think so.
What makes you think that?
Because her brother's been like posting pictures on Facebook of like, you know, them together and them with like, because they're twins, so they've always been really close. And they, you know, when she started getting into drugs, it was pretty much because of him.
Yeah.
You know, and they have a lot of the same friends, so I'll just like see these pictures on Facebook of all of them together, and they just don't look right. And so I think she's been spending a lot of time.
You mean they don't look right? What do you mean by that?
I mean, they just, I don't know, they all use and they all drink, and it's just, I don't know, they all have their problems of their own, you know, so.
Yeah, it's a tough situation that you're in, you know. I mean, you've got a committed relationship. You sound like you're really committed to Janessa. I know we've talked about that. You told me before, last time you met, how much you love her, and I know you told me a little about the background of you guys' relationship, and you know, what I'm hearing now is that, you know, you're seeing her not committing to being a parent, you know, and you're really stepping up to the plate and taking on a lot of responsibility. So she's you know, spending a lot of time. You think she's at the, or well, she's saying she's at the clinic, but you're pretty sure she's not, and hanging out with her brother. When does she spend time with Marcus, with your son?
I mean, she'll like, you know, she's around like sometimes during the day, like, so she'll, you know, she'll feed him and stuff, and she'll do some laundry, and, you know, she'll bring home like dinner sometimes, or sometimes she'll cook. Once in a while she actually cooks, believe it or not.
So she cooks pretty good?
She makes like really good, she's Italian, so she like, her mom used to make like the best like macaroni ever, so she picked up on that when she was younger. So sometimes she'll make like macaroni with the gravy or something, which is good. But I don't know, I think she tries. I mean, I know she loves Marcus. Like, I would never say that she doesn't, but I just think that sometimes her priorities can just be a little out of whack, and it just depends on the mood she's in. Like, she could get up one day and say, you know, hey, like, I want to be a mother, like, I want to play with Marcus all day, I want to spend time with him.
Yeah.
She wants to be, like, really present. And then there are other times when she'll get up and she'll say, like, hey, I'm going out for a little bit, and then she'll be gone for hours. So it's just, like, hit or miss at this point.
Yeah. How much, I know we talked about her using last time. Since I've seen you last, do you think, her using has increased or decreased, or is it kind of about the same?
I think it's about the same.
How often is that?
Like 3 or 4 times a week.
Wow, it's pretty hard to take care of a kid when you're kind of, you know, your life is kind of focused around that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like it's interfering with pretty significantly with her ability to take care of your son. How are you doing? Have you been using it all? I know we talked about a little about you sometimes getting into it.
Yeah, I've been pretty good lately. I've been drinking like every night, not like to the point where I'm getting like wasted, but it just kind of helps me relax. I just have a couple of beers. I haven't used in a few weeks, so.
That's good news. I know it's hard,
Yeah.
especially having that influence, you know,
Mhm.
with Janessa, and you know, I know sometimes it can be pretty triggering to see pictures like that. Do you ever feel triggered to use either, you know, alcohol or any other drug when you see those kind of images and experience that feeling of Janessa?
Sometimes, yeah. 'Cause it's like, I don't know. I mean, I know when I use, like, I don't have to really think about anything else, really, like any of the issues going on in my life.
Mhm.
So yeah, sometimes, but I try to control it. Like, I try to just, like, visualize, like, my son and, like, you know, the thought of, like, DCF like, coming in one day and, like, having to take him away, or both of us not being able to have custody at some point. It scares me, so I try to picture that.
Tell me a little more about that. When you know, I heard you just say that your son, you know, thinking about him kind of helps deflect the urge to kind of mask those feelings and those fears,
Mhm.
you know, with substances, which is a very real temptation. So tell me about, let's say that you were to be in a situation where Janessa's not home, you're pretty sure she's out doing her thing, and you know, you're feeling really sad and you're feeling like you might want to have a few beers or you might want to delve back into something. What are the things you do to keep yourself from using? I know you said you think of your son. Tell me about what that's like for you in that moment when you have to make that choice on how to handle things.
I don't know, it's hard. I mean, like, a lot of the times, like, I'll give, like, you know how close my mom and I are, and so she helps a lot, like, you know, like, me and my sister, like, we've put her through so much, just like when we were younger and like getting into drugs, and it's just amazing that she's stuck around, and like, I don't know, she's been such like a great support system, like single parent raising 2 kids who were like all effed up. It's really so so she helps me a lot still. Like, I'll call her all the time. She'll come over and help out Marcus too, which is really awesome. So yeah, I mean, I definitely, like, I'll give my mom a call sometimes if I'm feeling like really overwhelmed and kind of hopeless. Um, you know, sometimes I'll like play Xbox or something.
What do you play? Games do you play on Xbox?
I play like Call of Duty and stuff.
Those involve some pretty intense gameplay. I know that people get really involved in those, so it sounds like kind of a way to kind of take your mind out of that negative space.
Yeah.
Sounds like mom's a great support system for you. I'm really glad that you have that. So it sounds like you're using, you know, that support system of mom to make sure you're, you know, keeping a good eye on Marcus, taking good care, and what else are you doing for yourself these days? I know you said Xbox. What are you doing to kind of manage that relationship with Janessa?
Well, we went, I actually went to a support group with her a few weeks
wow.
ago.
How was that?
Yeah, it was interesting. I didn't really say much, neither did she, but someone recommended it to us. I can't remember who it was, but
What was the group, what was the focus of the group?
it was just like drug addicts, but they were like really religious. It was like it was kind of like a really like religious support group. Like they were all like kind of born again Christians, and
Mhm.
it wasn't really like my thing, but it was nice to sort of hear some of the stories. So yeah, I mean, we did that, which was good, but I mean, I feel like that was sort of like a one-time thing. Like I can't really see us. I mean, I wouldn't mind going back, but it's just a matter of like finding the time to do it.
Well, I heard you say that you know, felt a little iffy about the religious aspect of it, but I also hear you saying that you'd be interested in going back. What do you feel that was beneficial to you that would make you inclined to go back and kind of give it another try?
I mean, I just liked it wasn't even so much like the support group itself. I mean, it was,
Mhm.
but it was sort of like me and Janessa like being together and like doing something together that was
Yeah.
gonna benefit us. Like that's what I liked. Even like just like being next to her and like kind of feeling normal. And I know that's probably not. It probably sounds weird, like, oh, feeling normal at the support group, because, like, I mean, I feel like anyone in a support group
Doesn't sound weird at all. Doesn't sound weird one bit. I know, you know, it's tough when you've got that responsibility with your son, and, you know, you guys have a lot going on in your life, and to me, when I hear you say, you know, feeling normal, that's, what I'm hearing is that you want to have some, you know, sense of stability and core and control over what's happening, and you know, I think it's natural for us to want to share those, you know, connected times. You know, so have you guys engaged in anything else that's been a connective activity for you two, either with or without Marcus?
Not since then, no. I mean, you know, sometimes like, I mean, we live in like that little 2-bedroom, so it's like when we're all in the same house, we're so like close to one another, you know what I mean? But no, like the support group was the only thing that was pretty much like the only thing. Like even when we're in the same house, sometimes we're just so far apart, even though we're like in the same room half the time.
So the last time we talked, you know, we talked a little bit about both, you know, you and your substance use, and you know, and how that kind of relates and ebbs and flows along with Janessa's use and addiction. And we also talked about, you know, that relationship with Janessa and the parenting relationship, both that she has with Marcus and that you have with Marcus. So I think when we wrapped up last session, we were starting to get ready about thinking about, you know, helping you create a goal or two to kind of work on, you know, to kind of, you know, get you moving in this situation and feel able to do a little more for yourself. You know, I know we can't change what's going on. You know, you can't control the situation. You can't make somebody make changes they don't want to make. But it sounds like that you're ready to make some changes from what we talked about last time. So, you know, out of the things we talked about that you felt like you wanted to have a little more, that you wanted to maybe make some progress with, what would be, let's say, one thing that you'd like to work towards?
Probably just like getting Janessa and I to the point in which we can just like be a real couple.
What does that look like for you when you say a real couple? I know you said normal before and you just said real couple now, so it's sounding to me like it's important that you have a sense of, you know, normalcy and stability. So what does that look like for you?
I don't know. Even though I know I've been struggling for so long, but I still always, even since I was a little kid, not even a little kid, maybe like even like high school, like I always just had this kind of idea of like the picture perfect like white picket fence and like getting married and having a kid and a dog and like, you know, me working 9 to 5 and coming home and like dinner's on the table and I spend time with my family and I don't know, I always just wanted that. So
yeah, I'm hearing you say it sounds like you kind of had this, you know, and especially with, you know, mom raising you as a single mom, you know, it sounds like you've kind of maybe pictured something a little different for yourself. Is that what I'm hearing?
yeah, no, I mean, and my mom, you know, she deserved so much better than what she got. I mean, like my dad walked out on us when, I don't even like really remember him. My sister says she remembers him like very, very slightly, but yeah, no, I mean, even though, you know, even though I didn't really grow up like seeing that for myself, it was still, you know, I have friends who had that. You see that on TV. That's like kind of the message that we all get when we're growing up. It's like that's sort of what the idea. That's kind of.
And is that? Do you feel like that's maybe when you say that you want that value of like kind of having the white picket fence, you know, the proverbial white picket fence, and you know, kind of having a you know, cohesive family unit? Do you feel like that's something that you really want yourself, or that that's something maybe more influenced by what's on the outside, or what you didn't have?
Well, I don't know, because honestly, when you think about it, it's like even if we did have that, like okay, let's say that we did have this like nice house and this white picket fence, like we would, I mean, we would probably still be addicts. So in a sense, like, you know, yeah, that's what I want. But I think what I mostly, I don't know, because obviously it's like when you imagine like that goal for yourself, like the white picket fence and the, you know, the white picket fence and the big house and working, like that doesn't involve like drugs. So in a sense, like even if we had that, I don't think that would have stopped us from becoming addicted to drugs. So
sounds like some really important insights there. You know, that I'm hearing you say, you know, that even with that normalcy, even with that value that you have of, you know, a really solid family unit, but and that doesn't protect and prevent against, you know, those kind of problems that come up. And you know, addiction, I mean, I know you know this, and Janessa does too. It's something a lot of families face and a lot of families struggle with. And you know, it's really important insights that I'm hearing you come up with. That you know, that despite the addiction, you know, it's still something that you guys are really working towards. It seems like you've identified some really important values to you in terms of you really want that family unit. What kind of actions do you think you could take outside of Janessa, outside of her behavior, and having, you know, I know you want to have a stronger relationship with her, that's the goal, and, you know, a more normal, in your sense, family unit. What are some actions that you could take to kind of achieve that goal?
I don't know, maybe I can like start with talking to Janessa more about these things. I feel like she's kind of clueless in a lot of ways, and I don't even think that's like really her fault. It's just we don't communicate.
When you say clueless, what do you mean? What is she clueless to?
I just think that she's clueless to kind of like what I want. Like I think, I don't know, like for all she knows, like I'm totally fine with just like kind of being at home and taking care of Marcus, and you know, and I haven't used in a few weeks, which is good. Like so I think she knows like I want to be clean, but
sounds like I'm hearing you say that you feel that she may not even realize what page you're on. Not necessarily that you're not on the same page, but that she doesn't really understand where you're at with things.
Yeah, that's
so maybe you know, in order to kind of get you closer to that goal of feeling a little more like you have a normal relationship, do you think communicating that desire to her, might be something you'd be willing to explore.
Yeah, when she's around.
It can be tough her not being around a lot, you know, it doesn't create a lot of opportunities. But when does she seem to be around the most often?
Sundays usually, like during the day. And she kinda like will drop in like pretty consistently during the week, but yeah.
Sounds like you're having a really hard time with this. I'm sorry that it's so rough for you right now.
I'm sorry, it's just frustrating.
I know. Why don't we talk about a little bit about you know, I know the goal here is to get you guys more of a unified family unit and feeling, at least for you, you know, feeling a little more close to baseline, close to what you know, what those values you have kind of dictate. So, in order to kind of get there, to get to that feeling of normalcy, you know, what kind of memories do you have and thoughts that you have kind of stimulate feelings like that? Like, can you remember any times in the relationship with Janessa that you know, that you could look back on as an inspiration, or any thoughts of what it could be like?
Yeah, we met, I think I told you this before, we met in high school. You know, and she was still, I mean, she was like definitely like using, but she was very, like, it wasn't obvious, like, and like I didn't know for a while, and then I remember it's all so hazy at this point. No, I just remember like us being in high school and kind of like, I remember when we met, like one of my friends, like, where we had like a mutual friend that introduced us, and it was like we all went on a double date. We went to the movies to see Titanic. Wow, that was like what, 97?
I think I saw that 3 times.
Yeah.
In the theater. So that I'm hearing that memory for you as, you know, a really positive interaction, a really positive experience for you guys, is having a core group of friends and you know, being able to enjoy, you know, an activity together. So that memory of, you know, shared friendships and shared activities is certainly something, you know, that you can kind of draw upon as you think about moving closer to that family unit. What else? Let's think of some more things.
I remember, you know, one of the main things that attracted me the most to her was just like her laugh, like she just had like the best laugh. She had the best smile too. I don't know. I like to think back and like just think about her like smiling and laughing. Like that used to make me happy.
What makes her smile and laugh?
I used to. I don't think I do so much of that anymore, but I used to. I don't know. I'm pretty good with like the one-liners and like I can kind of like crack a joke on the spot. But so I think she used to like that. That was. I do really good impressions too. Like, and I do like good like impersonations of like people, and that used to crack her up too.
That's pretty funny. I bet that would make anyone laugh.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've got some really good, solid memories here. You know, the memory of, you know, those interactions with friends and, you know, doing shared fun things together. And I love that you mentioned, you know, her smile and laugh. I know when people are in the throes of addiction, you know, they're often trying to mask a lot of, you know, really difficult emotions. And, you know, I think making room for that memory of laughter would be a really positive aspect to this. So what kind of feelings do you think that might pop up for you, you know, as you're working towards this. Are you willing, you know, in terms of what kind of feelings are you willing to sit with and feel, you know? They may be difficult ones.
I don't know, I guess I mean, just sadness, like, kind of disappointment about where we ended up, I guess. It's, like, sometimes when I think about, like, you know, way back in the day, like, all those happy times, like, it makes me sad. I sometimes wish I could, like, rewind and just go back to that.
Yeah, I think I can understand that feeling. You know, that disappointment is unfortunately, you know, that's something that, you know, that you guys have probably been experiencing for a while. Does that sound about right? Kind of disconnected. You know, and that's something that you guys may, especially you know, as you're focusing on you here and what you want out of this, which is, you know, a closer family and some more a semblance of normalcy. You know, as we're focusing on that, I think you probably are going to end up feeling, you know, sounds like you probably are going to end up feeling a little bit of disappointment and kind of, you know, it's something that, you know, you're willing to sit with, you think? What, you know, what might help, what kind of physical sensations, do you kind of feel when you feel disappointed?
I don't know, I just kind of feel this, like, sinking feeling sometimes, like in my stomach, like, I don't know if I would say, I don't know if it's like, oh, my stomach drops, but it's like my stomach kind of like shrivels up a little bit when I feel, you know, it's like when you tell a girl, like, you like her, and then, you know, if she says, like, oh, I'm not interested, it's just like that. Just, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like empty, like you immediately feel like empty. You know?
Tell me a little more about how that kind of sinking, scrunching, wrinkling feeling in your stomach feels, you know, in relation to where you and Janessa are at now.
I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of desensitized to a lot now. There's not a whole lot that makes that happen, but I think that's because, like, with her right now and just with her situation, I just kind of, like, there's really nothing, like, I don't really feel that shrinking feeling because like, nothing else can really, like, disappoint me at this point. So, you know, like, I feel like I've gone so long with just things being just disappointing in general that I don't really feel that way anymore.
So it sounds like you're feeling kind of mentally and physically a little bottomed out at this point.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, pretty accurate?
Yeah.
It's going to be some tough things to sit with, and I know sometimes when we're kind of dealing with that overload, or even, you know, like what you said, where you're at with, you know, kind of hitting that wall of you can't feel that sinking feeling anymore, you can't feel anymore or tolerate any more disappointment. What kind of urges pop up when you think about that, when you think about the disappointment you're experiencing?
Urges, like, do you mean, like, what do I feel like I want to, like, do about it, kind of, like?
This can be positive or negative. So essentially, let's say that Janessa doesn't come home on a day that you guys are supposed to have an arrangement to take care of Marcus, or when something needs to get done, and you're kind of at that bottomed out feeling, that kind of feeling of, oh, here we go again, you know, that kind of just disappointment, but it's kind of static. You know, what do you feel compelled to do when that happens? What's your kind of instinct? What's your go-to?
It just kind of, I don't know, because it just feels like every time I say something or try to, like, kind of let her know, I just get totally shut down. Like, she doesn't even want to hear it. So I just kind of have this habit of, like, just not really saying anything at this point. Like, because I don't want to, like, I don't want it to all blow up. because if I say something, then she's gonna start going off. It's just not even worth it.
So I'm hearing you say your urge is more to kind of interact with her and kind of talk to her about that, but that it's, you kind of know what you're going to get as a result. So you're saying like the urge is kind of to try to take action and do something about it.
Yeah, like I want, you know, like I want to be able to speak up and say like, hey, like, whether it's a mother to your son or like, but if I mean, I know that there are nicer ways to say that, like because obviously, yeah, like if somebody said that to me, like if someone ever said, you know, you need to step up and be a father, like you're a deadbeat father, yeah, I would probably flip out too, so I can't really blame her. So I think I just need to like think of better ways to say it to her, but I just don't. But yeah.
What about urges to, because that, from what I'm hearing, is, you know, kind of an urge to bridge the gap or to help her realize where you guys are at, to help her get on that same page. You know, the urge to kind of, I don't want to say confront, but to make that communication, even though you know it's not going to work. What kind of urges do you feel for yourself to soothe the feelings you're feeling? Like I know we've talked about in the past, you said, and I'm very proud that you've been, you know, clean for a few weeks and not using, but I know you did say you have been drinking and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you ever find an urge to do things along those lines that are maybe a little destructive, or?
Yeah, I mean, no, anytime me and Janessa get into an argument or something, or anytime like I'm, you know, like when Marcus is like up all night crying and screaming, and you know, anytime I just feel so like beyond stressed and just beyond done with everything, yeah, I do want to use, because I know that that's just going to kind of take everything away. I'm just going to be so numb to like everything. So yeah, I want to use, I want to drink, like those are still things I want, but I know I can't do it if I want to keep my kid.
So what I'm hearing, those two main urges are kind of to communicate with Janessa, to kind of, you know, shake her proverbially a little and wake her up, you know, kind of communicate, and then the urge for you personally to kind of deal with that feeling of knowing she's not going to get it, is to kind of think about using or want to use. In those situations, what do you think would be useful to kind of remind yourself, you know, pertaining to this goal we have of like getting a little more of a cohesive family unit? What do you think would be a good reminder for you in those moments when you're feeling those strong urges?
Well, no, I mean, I picture like DCF coming in and like taking away my kid, and I obviously don't want that, so I always just envision that. Like I envision either getting a phone call or somebody showing up to my house, and obviously, I mean, that would kill me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
God. So yeah, I mean,
I know how much you love Marcus.
Yeah.
So sounds like, you know, one of those reminders for you when you're, you know, when you're feeling those feelings is that if, you know, if the situation were to escalate, you know, that could be a potential consequence. You know, the situation of if you guys were to get into some kind of altercation, you know, over the communication that you want and need to have, and which she really can't be open to in the state she's in, and also your urge to be using. It's some really great insight that DCF might end up being involved if, you know, if things were to get a little more, you know, if you were to act on those urges.
Happened to my buddy, so I don't want that to happen to me.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, it's difficult when we see a friend go through something. It makes it that much more real for us.
He can only see his kid. Like he gets like supervised visits like once a month or something. It's such bullshit. Like I get it, but it's like he was such a good dad too. Like they don't even care. Like even if like you're a good dad, like I mean obviously, you know, I understand like he can't like be on drugs or whatever, but he was just like the best at it. It just sucks.
I'm
It
hearing
just
a lot of frustration and kind of empathy for that situation. You know, that he's kind of stuck in this position where he can barely see his kids. It must be really hard for him. And it sounds like you don't want to even get close to getting that type of situation. So it sounds like you probably, you know, what I'm hearing you say is you want to remind yourself, you know, of the potential consequences of what could happen. Let's kind of look at the opposite of that. You know, to remind yourself that the goal is, you know, to have that more sense of normal family with Janessa and Marcus. So that's obviously the, you know, the kind of negative aspect of that reminder. You know, if you do these, if you have these urges, act on these urges that, you know, may not pan out well. What about thinking about reminders of the potentially good outcomes? What kind of, you know, motivations or reminders could you use there?
I don't know, like sometimes I look at Marcus and he's so like smart. He's just so like, you know, I just look at him and he seems like so advanced for his age, you know, and I think about, I mean, I know he's young and I know like all, you know, you never know how kids are gonna end up, but I don't know, I just kind of like imagine like him just like being super successful and like.
It's wonderful.
Yeah,
Great
so I wanna like encourage that, you know what I mean? I wanna like keep him on that path. So I feel like as long as I keep my shit in line and if I just keep doing what I have to do, then maybe he'll get there. Like I want him to, you know, I want him to have what I didn't have. And I know that if I keep going in the path that I'm going, he could end up just like me. I don't want that to happen. So
it's great that, you know, Marcus seems like such a priority for you, and that his, you know, your investment in his future seems like a really big motivator for you. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head there.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing what parenting does, you know. It's a pretty powerful force to want so much more for this one person, you know. And it's interesting hearing you say that because, you know, the goal is for the whole family, and what would that family be without your son? So it's nice to hear you, you know, when you think about these reminders as to, you know, why you're doing this and what can be effective in trying to make the family unit a little better. I like what I'm hearing when you say that, you know, those goals are, the reminders are really focused around Marcus and what could happen positively and negatively, you know, based on how you're working on this. So it sounds like, you know, this might end up being something that's obviously that could be a long road, you know, but if you were to break this down into some smaller steps, like, if you think about that, I know it's a little corny, but Rome wasn't built in a day, you know. I know you really want to get there with Janessa, and if you were to break down this goal of having a more normal family unit into, like, say, 2 or 3 little steps, what could you tell me about what those steps would be? Just imagine.
I mean, when me and Janessa are together, maybe just like, I don't know, we can find time to maybe just like sit on the couch and talk about our day.
So healthy, kind of regular communication?
Yeah. Maybe we could like, each of us like play with Marcus for a little while. I think it would be good for him to like see both of his parents like together too.
Yeah.
Like I think he needs to see that.
So kind of shared parenting duties?
Yeah.
You know, even those two right there, that sounds really, really, really good. I really like what you just said there about, you know, given the circumstances you're in, being able to sit down and have that conversation with Janessa, you know, gives a sense of normalcy, you know, to that dynamic between you two. And then for Marcus, a sense of normalcy of seeing his parents, you know, playing together with him, and you know, being able to interact in a way that's healthy and happy. Those both sound like really good steps towards feeling a little more like a family. So when do you think you're feeling like you'd be ready to start making some of these changes?
Soon, I guess. I mean, I'd like to. I don't know. If I was able to I'm able to get myself here to see you when I can. Like, I want to be able to like follow through with what we talk about here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as possible.
Well, I think that you're really strong, and you know, I commend you for coming in here. It's not easy when, you know, you're struggling yourself with some, you know, substance use, and knowing you have a partner who's struggling quite a bit more than you are, and you're trying to raise the kids together. It's a really stressful situation, and the fact that you're making that time to come in here and that you're setting aside that time, you know, I think is a really good indicator of how much you want this and how urgent it is for you, you know. It must not be easy to set that time aside, you know, when you're the primary caregiver. So I think, you know, I could hear in your voice and in all that you said to me today in our session about, you know, wanting to, you know, really give this a go at having stronger family in it together.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, well, the weekend's coming up. I know you mentioned Sunday as a time that you guys might have to share together. What would you say to coming up right now with a real quick little plan for Sunday? It doesn't have to be elaborate, just a little, you know, one of those small steps we talked about.
Maybe just like talking to Janessa and just like kind of spending some time with her, maybe.
Mm-hmm. That sounds great. Do you think you might even be able to convince her to cook something? I know you said that you really enjoy that, and you know, it seems like it might be something that gives her some joy too. I mean, I've never met her, I don't know her, but you know, I know when I think about myself, when I think about, you know, other people I see and just friends and people in general, that, you know, we do those little things for ourselves and things that make other people happy. They tend to really give us a little self-esteem boost.
Mm-hmm.
So you think maybe you could make a plan to have a meal and just spend some time together?
Yeah, sounds good actually.
Awesome.
Haven't had a home cooked meal in a while. A lot of Taco Bell lately.
Oh gosh. Can be good, but too much of a good thing, you know?
Yeah.
Alright, well, you've done a lot of great work here today. I'm really, really proud of you with even the goals that you're setting, and I'm wishing you luck on Sunday, and you know, why don't we make an appointment for next week, and you know, let's see how that goes on Sunday. I can't wait to hear about it.
Alright.
Alright, take care.
Thanks, bye.